Hi everyone, it's Alexander with Taco Street Locating. We are an apartment locating company that helps people move to Austin, and this is our guide to downtown. If you find this guide useful, please check out my website, tacostreetlocating.com, so I can help you with your move. So, this is our downtown guide. I made it because when most people reach out to me, uh, they're typically looking at downtown because it's the obvious neighborhood to look at when you're moving to a new city. So, this guide is to help you figure out which parts of downtown are potentially right for you, if any at all. So, just to start overall, um, downtown's expensive. It's just is. Um, there's a lot of really nice high-rise buildings, some mid-rise buildings, but overall, unless you're willing to stretch your budget or be at a high budget, downtown just may not be right for you. Um, I'm not even going to explain what the prices are right now because by the time you see this video, that might be different. But just know this is easily the most expensive part of um, Austin when it comes to apartments. So, that being said, going to start with the part of downtown that everyone knows about, whether you've been to Austin or not, and that's this area. This is the Dirty Six region of downtown, which is kind of just a grimy collection of shitty dive bars and where people go to get drunk, um, have a good time, or decide this is not for me. I need to um, get my life together and do all that stuff. So there's no apartments here to speak of, but this is generally where this district is. And it also kind of intersects with Red River along here. Um, but even if you really wanted to, there's nowhere to live in the Dirty Six area of downtown. So we can kind of skip that. This is the area just below it, the convention center kind of area. It's this collection of a few apartments. We're on actually just one apartment, the Whitley. Um, so this area is more of like a business finance um, part of downtown. So you're not going to have much residential amenities, no grocery stores, not much of a lot. So it's not my favorite part of downtown when it comes to live. But this building, the Willie, is a nice one. Um, it's kind of like a medium, high end, high rise that you could still walk to the rest of downtown. But if you want something a little bit more of a residential feel, this one might not be for you. Um, let's see. So then you have just north of 36th region, you have kind of, I just call this the government and part of downtown, where you have the Capitol building. And most of this area you see here are going to be government buildings of one variety or another. Um, it's not that I don't spend that much time in this area. I mean, this the West End is more interesting. It's a little bit more neighborhoody, but there really aren't much apartments to choose from out here. Um, but on this side, the most interesting part of downtown now, at least in this area, is the brand new Waterloo Park, which I think they've been making for like a decade, and they finally opened it, and it's amazing. It's a beautiful, beautiful park with an amphitheater, gardens to walk through, places to like take your kids and hang out. So this makes this part of downtown a lot more interesting. Um, but there still aren't many apartments yet in this region. You have the Beverly, which honestly I never go to. Um, I almost never recommend anyone live here because you have it's right here on Red River, um, where like this kind of section here is all music venues and bars, and just really a lot of places like Stubbs and Cheer Up Charlie's around here. Um, and it's just right next to the building, makes it super loud. And the Beverly is just a little older. Not super fond of it, so I rarely take clients there. Um, this new building, on the other hand, the Alexan Waterloo, is a brand new high rise that's absolutely stunning, breathtaking. It's expensive, definitely. Um, I really like the north and south facing views here because you can get more of like a grand scape of downtown and like in the area. Um, although here the west facing ones are going to there's like a brand new high rise being built like right here. I don't know what it's going to be. So these ones facing west are going to have some construction for the foreseeable future until that finishes. Now, I also added another building here. The Avenir is another brand new building that's popping up like in January 2022. It's going to be super nice. It's technically an East Austin building, but the way it's positioned, it's more of a downtown building in terms of its high endness and swankiness and all that stuff. I think it's going to be really nice because we're going to have some corner units facing downtown or some more quieter units facing east in this more residential neighborhood. So be on the lookout for this one. Um, then we can zoom out back again and go to the infamous Rainey Street. Rainey Street is it's fun. There's a lot of bars and restaurants. Um, the way I feel about it, it's for people who have outgrown Dirty Six and they want to upgrade. They want better food, better everything. Um, but this is definitely a bar nightlife district. The street on weekends, it's loud, it's chaotic. There's a lot happening. That being said, there's four apartments to talk about. Here on the bottom, you have Windsor on the lake. Kind of like a nice older high rise with some really great views of the river, as you can see from this angle. Although there is another condo building that just popped up um, just east of it, right here. Um, it's like an okay building. It's nice, but the all the amenities are on the bottom floor, like a ground floor pool. So it's not going to give you that kind of high end appeal the way a lot of these other buildings will. But being on Rainy, you do get access to the trail right along here, which is really cool. But you also lose. There's not much neighborhood happening here. You have a lot of tall buildings, but not really any grocery stores to choose from. For that, you have to go here to like this Whole Foods in East Austin or the Whole Foods headquarters that we'll get to later. Um, and it could feel that if you're on Rainy Street, it may feel like a little claustrophobic um, because you're kind of just tucked in there. So that being said, you have Sky House, nice high-rise building, rooftop amenities, rooftop pool, really nice building, great views of downtown and everything else. But kind of like all the buildings on Rainy, they're going to be a bit festive, if you will. A lot of partying, a lot of people who like to go out on Rainy. So take that as you will. And kind of the same story for Camden Rainy Street, but more so because it's literally right on top of all the bars on Rainy Street, whereas like Sky House and Windsor are like a block removed, so it's going to be a little quieter. Um, but I know from personal experience, this Camden Rainy, it's a super nice building, great amenities, rooftop pool, all that stuff. But it's loud. People like to party there a lot. So, yeah. Um, You have the Quincy, which is a brand new one, super high luxury building, where you're going to get some great west facing downtown views. But kind of the same commentary about the rest. It's on Rainey Street. It's going to be loud and lively and festive and all that stuff. So take that as you will. So going a little further, um, you have, I just call this the residential downtown part of Austin, where most of the buildings you're going to live at are going to be in this a bigger cluster. Um, so most of my clients move to downtown, move here because there's just more buildings to choose from. Here you have the Seaholm district. I call it the Trader Joe's district for obvious reasons. You have the Whole Foods headquarters right here. So you have more residential amenities to choose from. You have like the river trail right here to walk along. So that's nice. So you do get more of like a residential neighborhood experience being here. So you've got a few buildings to choose from. The Ashton is super, super nice. Even though it's a little older compared to the other ones, has a lot going on for it. Kind of feels like a high-end hotel where you can get like a nice pool that faces like the river and all that stuff. And of course, all of these are going to be super expensive, so I'm just not even going to mention that. Um, so that's a really nice one. Amley downtown is more of a it's a mid-rise building. And they have more like industrial kind of loft-like floor plans where it feels like in a big and yeah, big industrial loft studio types. Um, it's a cool building. They have gone through a lot of renovations. Most Amley properties, they're like the bottom end of high end, which means like they're nice and modern, but they're never going to be as swanky as something like these next few buildings. Here's one of my favorites, Gables Republic Square. It's a really unique building because it's a hybrid. It's part Hotel Zaza and part apartment complex. So you get access. So the hotel guests and the apartment renters are kind of separated, but they have access to the same like base building, which is really cool because the apartment complex kind of gets the benefits of being designed like a really interesting hotel, like a boutique hotel. And it's a very unique building. I love it. Um, they have like a bar on site, a restaurant on site, a rooftop area you can hang out, meet a bunch of people. Great amenities. It's not as dramatic on the outside as it does on the inside, but if you want high end, definitely take a look at this place. On the downside, the north part of Gables Republic Square is a new building that's popping up right here called Hanover Republic Square, um, which is kind of blocking a lot of these units. So that's nearly done. There's a building I forgot to put on this list that is also brand new. This is the Sienna at the Thompson, which is going to be closer to the dirty sixth part of Austin. Um, so I haven't been to this building yet because it's still under construction at the time of this recording, but it's going to be super nice. Like the Gables, it's going to be a hybrid hotel apartment complex. So I think some of the benefits are going to be kind of similar in like the hybrid style you have going on. Um, what else? You have Emily on second, which is like the high rise cousin of Emily downtown. We have some really nice south facing views of the river. Um, the north facing ones aren't as interesting because this area is kind of parking lotty for the time being until someone buys it and builds another mega building, which I'm sure is going to happen eventually. They have gone through some renovations to update the style. and make it less college dorm feeling and more like nice high rise feeling. Um, don't need that yet. Here you have North Shore, which is one of the premier buildings of downtown. It's spectacular. Um, it's definitely one of the most high end, amazing buildings in downtown. They have not exactly, they don't have like a rooftop pool, but it's like a mid level pool that is right overlooking the river. Great amenities. The problem is um, it's flanked by a lot of other buildings kind of in this area. So a lot of your views might be obstructed if you're not, if you don't choose the right direction. So that could be an issue there. It has like a very high end hotel feel, which you may or may not like. I know it can feel like generic high end swanky in like a sterile kind of way, which it's kind of up to you to feel. Um, Here you have 404 Rio Grande, which is an older mid rise complex kind of tucked in the middle of all of this. Not much to say about it. It's not my favorite. Kind of the same. Kind of like these two, 404 Rio Grande and Gables West Ave. I have generally the same commentary about it. It's the you'd pretty much only choose them for their location, not much else. The amenities aren't great. They're a bit older. They feel older. Um, so they're good to consider if you like the area, but for the same price, you can get something better in a different neighborhood. Um, Here you have the Monarch by Windsor, um, which was originally supposed to be a condo building. It was built around 2008, and then 2008 happened, the financial crash, all that stuff. So they converted condos into the Monarch by Windsor apartments. Um, the amenities aren't great because everything's on the bottom floor, so you're not getting any like big rooftop, um, all that good stuff. You have pretty big floor plans though, which are nice. They have giant balconies, which is always a good thing to have. Um, so it pairs well with a lot of the other high rises, although it can feel a little bit dark on the inside. So it's worth knowing about. Um, the buoy is one of my favorites, even though they could have better reviews. um, but as a building, it's spectacular. It has like a funky rock star type design and aesthetic to it, which I like a lot. They have like rooftop pool, gym, all the amenities kind of up top, so you can really get 360 views of Austin from on top of here. Um, that being said, you can see that they have had issues on reviews, which is always kind of like a wild card when it comes to apartments. But you can get really stunning views from this building. Um, Here you have two buildings. These are kind of like brother sister buildings, Gables Park Plaza and Gables Park Tower. Uh, Park Plaza is a mid rise building. It's really nice. You have access to all this like greenery and trails like right along here. Trader Joe's is here. Um, Really nice area. Um, and you have Gables Park Tower, which is a high-rise building. Both are super nice. Here you can get amazing views of like the river if you get lucky. Um, the one problem with these buildings is this line here. Um, there's a freight train that comes by multiple times a day, which is super loud and screechy, and kind of a pain in the ass. Um, so that's kind of like the Achilles heel of um, this chunk of buildings that we're going to like go through now. But they are very nice. The location's good. They're still worth considering. despite the train. Here's another building, another Amley. I forgot to highlight. Um, but yeah, here's Amley 300. It's of all the Amleys in downtown, this is like the oldest one. Um, it's not super nice, but you can get relatively good pricing here compared to a lot of the other places in downtown. And like these buildings, the train tracks go through here. So you are going to deal with a lot of train noise a few times a day um, if you have something that faces south. But some of the other ones are like internal facing, may give you um, just less noise. So it's worth knowing about. I've had a few people lease there, but it's definitely not one of the nicest buildings in the area. Um, but you can upgrade it quality if you go a little further into this part of Austin. I'll just call it West Downtown, past Lamar Boulevard, where you have kind of this like strip of East of West Sixth and Fifth, um, which is these are both kind of busy like commuter streets. Um, with some cool like residential neighborhoods along the side. Um, I have mixed feelings about this area. Like it is cool. You have some really classic bars like Don's Depot and Mean Eyed Cat, and some really good food in this area. So it's a good area, but you kind of do lose a little bit of a neighborhood feel. So that being said, you have the Clark, which is super nice, high end. Um, but kind of like the generic kind of nice. It may not have the personality of like the buoy around here, um, and it tends to be fairly expensive, and you still have issues with the train that comes along here. Right next to it, you have the Pressler, which tends to be a better deal than the Clark, even though it's a little bit of an older building and it's not as well designed. You do have less road noise. You still have a lot to walk to. Um, it's not the best design department. Like it could be much prettier, but they have some work to do there. You can go then a little bit further to Fifth Street Commons, which is usually a much better deal. Which depends on the prices, of course. It's usually cheaper than these two, but you do um, get placed a little further where you do lose a lot of the walkable benefits of downtown being like all over here. So it's worth checking out if you want to save money but still be a little closer to downtown. And usually people who look into downtown, like this part of downtown, are also going to be interested in East Austin. That's more walkable. You have more apartment options. Um, so I think that wraps everything up. Um, Actually, here's another building I wanted to point out. Technically, it's not a downtown building; it's the Catherine, but it's a super high-end, beautiful, high-rise building where you can get great views of downtown with the north-facing units. They have a legendary rooftop lounge area that has one of the best views of Austin you're ever going to find. So it's interesting. It's very expensive, of course, um, but it's worth knowing about if you don't mind being across the river from downtown. Um, so I think that wraps everything up for downtown. So again, if you found this guide useful, please reach out to me so I can help you find your next apartment.